thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, it struck me there are about sort of 10 or 15 sort of threads running through everything we've seen in the last 15 years that I'm pretty certain are going to be, in some ways, the guardrails and signposts of what technology leadership, technology innovation will look like over the next, I'd say, decade. And I really just wanted to kind of spell some of them out here. The first one I want to argue here is that, I think Mark made a good argument for this too, the world is being fundamentally remapped. For technology companies and for media companies, who it is that is using technology, who it is that is encountering technology, and who it is that has in some ways come into the conversation looks completely different than it looked 10 years ago. When I joined Intel back in 1998, 70% of the world's internet users, that's 70% of the world's internet users were based in the United States. By 2010, that number was down to 17% and dropping. That means the fastest growing languages online are not English or any English derivatives, Australian being one of them. No, the fastest growing languages online are things like Hindi and Bengali and Arabic and Spanish and Mandarin Chinese. It means there are websites developing that for many of us in this room, we'll never see them, let alone inhabit the experiences that they're offering. It also means that in this period, there have been incredible shifts basically on the world stage. Not only do we have increasing urbanization, in fact known to many of us in this room, but the world is becoming more urban. Bigger cities, those cities look very different than the countrysides that they border. We're talking about an aging wave, although all of us in this room would not like to admit it, we are now part of the future because we're old. Turns out there are more people over the age of 50 than under the age of 18, and that only, it turns out, gets more so. There are very few places in the world where the population now skews young. And indeed, some of the fastest growing places in the world, like historically, like China, for instance, more and more people over the age of 50 than under the age of 18. So when we think about who our paradigmatic users of the future might be, it turns out they may look more like us than we've historically imagined. And then from technology companies, and I suspect media companies have known this, and I know the ABC has pretty much always known this, but for technology companies, this was a big eye-opener in the last 5 years. It turns out women are our new lead adopters. Who'd have thunk it? But when you look at internet usage, turns out women in Western countries use the internet 17% more every month than their male counterparts. Women are more likely to be using the mobile phones they own. They spend more time talking on them, possibly not a surprise. They spend more time using location-based services, possibly again not a surprise. But they also spend more time sending text messages. Women are the fastest growing and largest group of users on Skype, and that's mostly younger women. Women are the fastest category and biggest users on every social networking site with the exception of LinkedIn. Women are the vast majority owners of all internet-enabled devices, i.e. readers, healthcare devices, GPS, that whole bundle of technology is mostly owned by women. So it turns out if you want to find out what the future looks like, you should be asking women. And just before you think that means you should be asking 18-year-old women, it actually turns out the majority of technology users are women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So if you want to know what the future looks like, those turn out to be the heaviest users of the most successful and most popular technologies on the planet as we speak. Kind of unexpected and not what we thought. But if you look and track those usages, that's where the technologies that are actually in some ways dominating both online activity and digital devices, that's actually what's happening.